Welcome to San Antonio, Texas, as we're all set for DeSales and Trinity facing off on this Thursday night. And throwing for the Tigers, the pitcher Michael Boki, making his second start in 2 weeks, leading it off. For DeSales will be Andorowski as we're underway. Bunt is down. Boki out to field it. Throw to first in time for out number one. And a quick start to this one for my partner Luke Terry and myself, Cole Isaacson.
Yeah, quick start in what was a little bit of a slower developing play. Andorowski squaring late right there, trying to get a base runner early for these DeSales Bulldogs that are struggling a little bit right now in South Texas. Their fifth game in 5 days, and they're still looking for a victory.
They have lost their last 5 in a row, dating back before this South Texas trip, as the number 2 hitter Rorick up for DeSales. Takes strike one on the outside edge.
It was a nice start from this defense. Boki taking his time to get off the mound, field that one cleanly, and he made a very strong throw over there at first base. Didn't rush anything in the process of recording out number one here.
Now 1-2 to Rorick. DeSales was just here a few days ago. They played Southwestern. Lost that game 12-4. Hope for a better result today against these Tigers. Fouled off, still strike two.
A big part of that one, Cole, I recall, was the defense for these DeSales Bulldogs wasn't exactly where you would want it to be. And we talked about it a lot during that game. The turf here in San Antonio, obviously going to speed things up a little bit, going to create some weird high hops. Maybe a second opportunity out here will give them a better outing.
Swing and a miss, that's strike three, the first strikeout of the day for Michael Boki, and there's 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, and Boki using that breaking ball very, very well in that at-bat right there against Rorick, spotting it a couple of times on the other side of the plate. Right, he was able to battle it off at least once, but that one a little bit more break, a little further outside of the box, and gets a strikeout because of it.
Grounded to Baker, throw in time, and a quick 1-2-3 inning for Michael Boki as we head to the bottom of the first on Tiger Network. Bottom of the first in the Alamo City, and you see the Trinity Tigers lineup on your screen. Leading it off for Trinity, Pierce Matthews in left field, followed by Maddox McDonald, Nicholas Lazara doing the catching, Christian Holloway at DH, Brandon Nelson, Colt Harris at second base, Jack Peterson in center field hitting 7th today, Kai Tinker in the 8th spot, and then the 9-hole, the shortstop, Jack Baker. And pitching for the DeSales Bulldogs, the first-year Mike Hepperset, making his first start of his collegiate career.
We'll see Happerset, who's already made a couple of appearances in the early portion of the 2024 campaign for these Bulldogs. And you have to wonder, Cole, how many arms they have remaining in their bullpen as they, as we mentioned earlier, play their 5th game in 5 days here in San Antonio. Played behind for all of those games realistically, and they've relied pretty heavily on that bullpen, as they did so a couple of nights ago in that game against Southwestern. A big offensive output for the Pirates, who took that one by a final score of 12-4. It was yesterday. These Bulldogs were most recently in action against the Schreiner University Mountaineers up in Kerrville. That one, another high-scoring output for their opponents. Mountaineers able to scratch across 8 runs It's going to be Happersett on the mound right now, who's going to try and limit the damage for these Trinity Tigers.
First pitch low for ball one to Pierce Matthews. First year on first year as we get things going offensively for Trinity. Take strike one.
Yeah, and that one, the upper half of the zone, Pierce Matthews looks back to converse and gain an understanding of the strike zone with that umpire.
Hits that into the air. And the catch is not made. On the ground, Matthews at second base, and an error results in the first base runner for Trinity.
Yeah, and it looked like it was Atkins that was out there in right field who just kept moving over. Likely was calling off the center fielder, Andorowski, right there, and you'll see it again. At the last minute, just had to kind of take a couple quick steps forward to try and find his way underneath that baseball. But as the wind that certainly is blowing here in San Antonio that likely took that one late, and Trinity has a leadoff runner in scoring position.
McDonald squares up to bunt, ends up fouling it off as he spins out of the way of that pitch. Matthews on on third base right now. And he's not moving. So an interesting ruling here. We'll see what that's all about.
Not getting live sound from the field at the moment. It looks like I would estimate that this didn't hit the bat of McDonald at the plate in the process of kind of blocking and obstructing the view of the catcher. When he spun around, it just glanced off the mitt behind home plate. Zavorsky back there again doing the duties, couldn't secure it cleanly.
So Pierce Matthews remains on third base. That pitch in there for strike two. That first pitch was a ball. So now a 1-2 count to McDonald with a runner on third, nobody down.
Interesting call considering where his bat was positioned when that pitch came through.
Swing and a miss, that's strike three. McDonald strikes out, the first one of the day for Trinity and Happersett.
Yeah, Happersett doing a very nice job of battling back right there. Maybe didn't get the benefit of the call as McDonald was squaring around to bunt, but made quick work of him after the fact. Spotted a couple of pitches on the inside part of the plate, and very nice breaker down and in.
That was first pitch to the catcher, Nicholas Lazera, inside for ball one. DeSales dealing with a runner on third base. Got on by way of an E9, a ball that just hovered in the wind, probably changed all sorts of different directions. As that's fouled off, 1-1. But Luke, it looked like three different Bulldogs had a chance at that. You mentioned Andorowski in center, Atkins, who ended up not making the catch, and then the second baseman dropping back into the outfield grass as well. Looked like it could have been a Bermuda Triangle situation, but unfortunately for DeSales, the ball dropped. As that's high for ball two.
Yeah, I mean, typically, if your center fielder has an opportunity out there in the outfield, he's the guy that you want to take charge. And in that situation, it looked like it was hit to pretty straightaway center. Andorowski may have had a better opportunity not having to continue to move behind that one.
Lined and caught. Unfortunate play for Lazera. Hits it right to the third baseman for the Bulldogs, and there's two down in the inning.
Yeah, Lazera has been a line drive hitter here in San Antonio in the early portion of the season. He uses the full field, which makes him even more dangerous, on top of the fact that he is a switch hitter. He will use every part of this ballpark in San Antonio. He will leave the yard. Saw it last week in the series against Whitewater. It's a guy that just very narrowly changed that launch angle, and the ball got out of here very, very quickly, but right there drops it back down and just hits it right at a defender in the field.
So now the cleanup hitter, Christian Holloway, up for the Tigers, still working with that runner on third, two down in the inning. Ball one makes it 1-1. So an unfortunate play really on both sides. Talk about Atkins dropping that fly ball in right field, and then Lazera lining out to the third baseman, DeStasso, as Holloway takes ball two.
It's been a very, very nice response by Happersett right here in the bottom of the first inning. Trinity getting a runner all the way over to third with nobody out, and all of a sudden he has an opportunity to put the Bulldogs back in their dugout.
Hit in the air towards the Tiger dugout, and no play.
And DeSales giving a nice run over there. Just barely ran out of room. Maybe needed one or two more feet on that one, but Holloway going to live to see another pitch.
Now works in a 2-2 count. Runner on third, 2 down in the inning. Pierce Matthews reaching by way of an error. Popped up. And the catch made to end the inning. So Trinity gets the base runner all the way to third. Can't capitalize on their opportunity. Still 0-0 from San Antonio. Top of the second on Tiger Network. Michael Boki back on the mound for Trinity, and leading this inning off for DeSales is Kerr, who takes strike one as he swings at it.
And Kerr recognizing breaking ball very late right there. Thought it was going to hang up just enough for him, but at the time he started his hands, decided he wanted to give a go at it. It was far too late.
Strike called, outside edge.
Remains consistent here in San Antonio, that outside part of the plate, more often than not, being called strikes, especially to these right-handed hitters in the box.
Fouls that off and stays alive. Boki making his second start of the season. Started exactly a week ago, a Thursday game against Whitewater. Didn't make it to the fourth inning in that game. Hoping for a different result tonight. Ball one.
And that one, a start against the top 25 team, and a top 25 team more than anything else because of their offense. A very, very difficult task to pitch in that series, especially those first two games.
And there's strike three on the outside edge. The second strikeout for Michael Boki as he gets him looking.
Yeah, and Kerr in a little bit of disbelief right there as he walks across home plate. He wasn't going to argue it too much, but that one, can't blame him on. Nothing you can do about that one. Nice breaking ball from Boki that looked like he started on the outside portion of the plate, and it broke pretty drastically away.
Did he go?
Looks like yes, based
Yes.
on the head nod from Nick Lazera behind the plate. And Boki really feeling that breaking ball at the moment.
Yeah, that was unclear to us for a while. Outside edge, strike two. As seems like the outside edge to righties is going to be open for business tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the camera angle here on Tiger Network, a little bit offset, so hard to tell exactly where that one's landing, but more often than not, it looks like Nick Lazera's set up kind of right where he is at the moment. He's not directly behind home plate, so it skews things just a little bit more.
The 1-2 pitch to Zavorsky. Waves at that one, strike three. Lazera has to go get it, but does so in time for the second out of the inning. The third strikeout for Michael Boki.
And Zavorsky doing everything he can realistically in that at-bat. Both of the last two hitters, in Kerr and Zavorsky, both maybe having their hands forced just a little bit, recognizing what the strike zone is here in San Antonio, what it's going to look like here tonight, already in the top of the second inning. And it includes maybe a part of the strike zone stretched down and away from these right-handed hitters.
As Boki fires ball one to Justin DeStasso. Waves at that, strike one.
And that one just absolutely fooling DeStasso. Very nice pitch from Michael Boki as he continues to rely very heavily on this breaking ball.
In the dirt, 2-1. DeStasso, one of many DeSales Bulldogs with good numbers offensively this season. A .286 hitter, 333 OPB, and most importantly, you saw his defense already in this game, robbing Nick Lazera of a base hit as that misses. 3-1.
And I think it's exactly what you want to see from these Bulldogs in the field. You want them to be sure-handed, especially in a situation where Trinity was able to get on because of an error early on.
Ball four, and he loses him. The first walk handed out in this game.
This is another area where things could really turn for DeSales. The last time out for these Bulldogs in San Antonio, they were on the receiving end of a lot of two-out runs scored. Opportunity here. Boki doing a nice job retiring the first two hitters. Runner on base. An opportunity against a guy that at the moment is throwing a lot of strikes.
Boki will continue to try and throw strikes to Zachary Zuchowski, the senior from New Jersey. Waves at that, and it's 0-2.
And a lot of strikes, but a lot of them of the breaking ball variety, and these hitters haven't quite figured out the timing on it from Michael Boki.
Runner on first, 2 down in the inning. Swing and a miss, strike three. Another strikeout for Michael Boki, and this one ends the inning. 0-0 as we head to the bottom of the second.
Bottom of the second inning, leading off for the Tigers. First baseman number 25, Brandon Nelson.
Bottom of the second in San Antonio's Texas. Still a scoreless game between the Bulldogs and the Tigers, and leading it off for Trinity, the first baseman, Brandon Nelson.
Nelson, a big lefty bat in there. We'll see how this matchup of lefty-lefty goes. Happersett settling in very nicely in the bottom of the first to get out of a little bit of a jam. They had a runner just 90 feet away from scoring and nobody down, but he was able to get out of it cleanly.
Hit hard but foul to make it 1-1. Runner at third base, Nick Lazera, came up to the plate, hit the ball very nicely, a line drive, but caught by the third baseman DeSales. Kept this game scoreless. So that's fouled back to make it 1-2.
Nice sequence right there from Happersett. He had Nelson well out in front of that first offering, then comes back inside on the hands, speeds him up just a little bit, and the timing's thrown off enough that he can't put it in play.
Grounded to second, and the throw in time for out number 1.
Yeah, just keeping Brandon Nelson off balance in that at-bat. Important thing to do against a very, very powerful left-handed hitter, and just took the power out of the equation by keeping him out on front in that one. Was able to put at least decent contact on it, but couldn't smoke it out there to second base, and fielding it cleanly was Rorik, able to move it on over to first to retire out number 1 here.
So now he goes up against the second baseman, Colt Harris. Strike called. Harris hitting 6th today. He's hit pretty much all over. Can hit towards the bottom, towards the top, now in the middle. Hit in the air towards the Bulldog bullpen. And catch is made. Out number 2.
And after that first ball that we saw sent into center field in the bottom of the first inning, anticipated that we might have a similar outcome right there. That time, a little lower stakes for the Bulldogs. It was certainly going to stay in foul territory. A nice job moving over. I'm sure it was probably Rorik that made that play a little bit easier for him to do so, rather than your first baseman trying to track back and catch it over his shoulder.
It's now Jack Peterson hitting 7th today. 1-0 pitch. Cuts on and misses. 1-1.
That's one that is pretty dangerous to a guy like Jack Peterson. Just enough break on it to get it just under the strike zone. But he's a guy that likes to go down and hit those breaking balls with a little bit of a golf swing. More often than not, he's got a pretty lofty exit angle when he hits the ball out of the park here in San Antonio, and it's more often than not on pitches like that.
Fouled back to make it 2-2. Peterson leads the team in home runs with 3. 2-1 game against Babson, won this past weekend. So he tries to get something going for Trinity, who has yet to have a hit. 1 base runner due to an error, but that's it. Way high into the backstop. It's a full count.
Yeah, and a pretty quick reaction from Happersett on the mound, understanding that one just slipping out of his hands. Kind of weird weather that we've had in San Antonio. Mostly been very, very beautiful this week, but overcast all day today. Got darker here because of it earlier.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. And that will end the inning. Peterson heads back to the dugout as we're still tied at 0. Top of the 3rd coming up. Top of the third in San Antonio. Michael Bokey still on the hill for the Tigers. And leading it off for the Bulldogs, it's Ty Atkins. And swinging a miss, strike one.
That same breaking ball from Bokey, it's had these hitters fooled just a little bit. Does so again to Atkins right there as he saw something over the middle of the plate and at least started his hands.
Another breaking ball in for strike two.
Couldn't hold up the first time around. That time saw something that looked like it was going to finish up, and that little bit of vertical break, just enough to bring it back down into the zone.
Did he go? Yes, that's strike three. And one down in the inning, the fifth strikeout in the third inning for Michael Bokey.
Yeah, and a very, very healthy helping of breaking balls from Bokey. Gives three more to Atkins right there. And there's just nothing the Bulldogs can do with it in the early going. Have to really at least start offering and trying to fight things the other way. That's really the only option they have at the moment.
As Bokey fires strike one to Jeremy Stranix, hitting ninth today, .250 hitter on the season. Stranix, the shortstop today. Grounded foul, and it's 0-2.
And those are the type of pitches that you have to take advantage of. Bokey's been very good at starting the breaking ball middle of the plate, maybe down and away, having it finish in the dirt in the other batter's box. But if he misses and puts something middle, you have to barrel it up.
Hit into right, and Stranix is aboard. Throw into the infield, holds him to a single, but a leadoff base runner for DeSales.
And here's a couple of consecutive offerings that do find the middle of the strike zone. That one, a little bit more vertical drop on it, that 12-6 action, and Bokey just drops it right over the heart. Stranix prepped for it, waits back perfectly, and sends it the opposite way.
They say he went strike one to the leadoff hitter, Andorowski. Stranix aboard with the first hit for either of these teams tonight. Runner on first, one down in the inning. As they'll check on him to no avail.
I think Bokey just wanting to keep Stranix honest over there at first base, recognizing that 9-hole has the potential for some real speed on the base paths.
Swing and a miss, strike two. Runner heads to second. And I guess this will be a matter if Andorowski touched it. It looks like he didn't, and Stranix will stay there.
Yeah, that one looked like it almost hit Andorowski. Not a foul ball situation even. I'm not sure if he was fooled that badly or perhaps there was a hit and run or something on for the Bulldogs.
0-2 pitch. Foul tip, strike three. Andorowski goes back to the dugout. The sixth strikeout for Michael Bokey, and there's two down in the inning.
Bokey hasn't faced off against a lot of lefties in this Bulldog offensive order. It's Andorowski and Fischel hitting in the 1 and 3 spots, so it was a lot of consecutive righties that he was able to use that breaking ball against. That time, though, a nice job just spotting that fastball on the outside part of the plate.
Grounded to Nelson. Bokey covering and can't hang on. Runner stays at third. Nearly out of the inning, but now all of a sudden runners at the corners with two down.
Yeah, opportunity here for the Tigers very clearly as this one put into the hole. Nelson getting over very early on. It's a play that certainly could have been made and probably should have been made. You can say that Nelson might have been able to lead Bokey to the bag a little bit better right there. But I think things were moving very quickly, getting down the line and putting pressure, very important in that situation. Rourke was able to do so.
So all of a sudden, DeSales, a chance to take the lead with one of their best batters, the lefty Owen Fischel. Takes a strike. Fischel, a .361 hitter on the season, works with runners at the corners and two down in the inning. Still a 0-0 ball game. Fouled off. And now in a 2-strike count.
And that time, Lazera moving into the opposite batter's box away from the left-handed hitter. I think Boki might have missed his spot right there with that breaking ball. Lucky against a very good hitter that it didn't hurt him at all.
Runner goes, but it doesn't matter. Swing and a miss. That's strike 3 as Boki gets out of the jam. So we head to the bottom of the 3rd in San Antonio.
For DeSales in the top of the 3rd inning, no runs on 1 hit, 1 error.
Bottom of the 3rd in South Texas. Still 0-0 between the Bulldogs and the Tigers. As leading it off for Trinity, it'll be Kai Tinker playing third base today, hitting .214 on the year. As he faces Happersett, who's in for his 3rd inning of work. Strike 1 to Tinker.
And Tinker, one of the few Tigers in Tuesday night's action here in San Antonio to walk away with a hit. A very low output in that category. They actually outscored the number of hits they had. 3 runs in the ball game on just 2 hits, but Tinker was able to put one into left center field, sent a couple of balls to left field, hoping to do the same here.
Won't do it that time as he fouls it off to make it 1-2. Mike Happersett into his 3rd inning of work. Through 2.2 innings all season in 2 appearances. So this a new high in terms of length. As that's hit to center and caught by Andorowski for out number 1.
Tinker doing a nice job putting a drive into that baseball. Unfortunately for him, hits it to one of the deepest parts of the park here in San Antonio. Wasn't able to quite split the gap like he did a couple of evenings ago, but a very nice piece nonetheless.
You were wondering how much that would carry. Didn't quite carry enough as Andorowski able to track it down. Now the 9-hole hitter, shortstop Jack Baker, trying to get the first hit of the evening for Trinity. The 2nd consecutive game they've been held hitless in the first 2 innings. Did not get their first hit until the 5th inning against Mary Hardin Baylor. Game they were out hit 9-2 in. Ended up falling 6-3. As Baker takes that for strike 1.
Yeah, it's something that plagued them in the first half of the series against Wisconsin Whitewater this previous weekend. Very, very low scoring outputs in that Thursday game and Friday game 1. Things even a little bit slow in Friday game 2. They eventually found their footing, but things have been this way largely because there have been far too many strikes taken.
As Baker takes ball 4 and advances to first base with 1 down in the inning.
And Baker able to draw that walk very nicely here for Trinity. And good job, again, out of whoever is in this 9 spot for the Tigers. Baker, another name that has hit pretty much everywhere in this lineup, slots in there this evening and does exactly what he's asked to and turns this lineup over for Pierce Matthews.
Pierce Matthews 0 for 1 today, reached on an E9. Found himself at third base, wasn't able to score though. He takes ball 1 in the dirt.
This Trinity team, especially those 2 games against Wisconsin Whitewater, first 2 of that series, even the other night against Mary Hardin Baylor, a lot of strikeouts looking has been a large issue for this team in the early going this year.
Matthews ahead in this count, 1-0. Make it 2-0.
But getting ahead in counts like this one right here, important. Now Happersett almost forced to put something in the strike zone. Great opportunity for Matthews, who even as a one-hole hitter has some real pop in that bat.
Baker goes, and he slides into second safely with a stolen base. No throw, as the Tigers have a first runner in scoring position.
And a very, very good pitch to run on from Baker right here. This one was down in the dirt a little bit. You can see the reaction. Zavorsky was getting ready to throw down. He had to just prioritize keeping it in front of him.
And he loses Matthews, ball 4, so Baker would have gotten the second anyways. Tigers have 2 aboard with 1 out.
Yeah, and Happersett, who started off very, very well in the bottom of the first and bottom of the second, I believe that's now 6, maybe 7 consecutive pitches that have missed the zone, struggling to find his command a little bit at the moment, and something that we began to touch on at least at the end of the bottom of the second. Weird weather here in San Antonio. What has been very, very beautiful baseball weather has turned. It's overcast. It's dark now that we're approaching 8 o'clock, but it's been humid all day and coming down from the northeast. Maybe a little bit of a change. High temperatures in that humidity. Definitely going to be difficult to find the grip on the baseball, find that appropriate release point, and perhaps Happersett dealing with that a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, you talked about it. Beautiful most of the week here in San Antonio, except for when DeSales has come to town. Monday, overcast, similar weather, and today, just missing some thunderstorms in the area. Really dark and gloomy all day, humid, as you said. So you would imagine tough to get a grip on the ball, as Happersett will try to make some adjustments. He's walked back-to-back hitters and now has to deal with the second hitter for Trinity, Maddox McDonald. McDonald 0 for 1 today. He struck out swinging the last time he was up. As he fouls that back to the screen, 0-1.
And taking a very healthy hack at that pitch. It was a good one to swing on. It was a breaking ball that hung up outside part of the plate. Have to go the opposite direction with that one. Maybe just a little bit too early on it.
Squares up to bunt. Both runners go. The ball gets away. And both Baker and Matthews slide in safely in third and second.
And McDonald up to bat for his second time this evening and squaring around to bunt for a second occurrence. A little late again to pull the bat back, but still going to operate from ahead, or at least even in this at-bat at the moment, but now with an opportunity to drive 2 home.
Takes that in the dirt. It's 2-1. Now having to deal with 2 runners in scoring position, no runs on the scoreboard so far today. Tigers trying to change that in this inning. Low ball 3.
And McDonald giving that one a long look into the glove of Zavorsky behind home plate. Thought about offering at it, understanding that he's ahead in the count. Was expecting something hittable right there. He didn't get it. It was a very good take.
Grounded to short, and they'll have no play. A run scores, and it's 1-0 Tigers.
And pretty heads-up base running all around right there. Pierce Matthews recognizing this ball in front of him. I've already seen once here on Tiger Network this season a lead base runner get picked off on a play very similar to that one. Doesn't want to risk the same thing, retreats back to second. Baker over at third, understanding that he's probably going to score no matter what with the ball on the ground that deep in the hole. Pierce Matthews recognizing if he can really turn up the gear, he's probably going to get down to first base easily, as that one was just going to take a long time to hit the fielder out there. Stranix did a nice job of knocking it down, but absolutely no play after the fact.
That'll be the day for Mike Happerset. Responsible for the runners on base, it's 1-0 Tigers, as DeSales will go with the new pitcher.
Now batting for the Tigers.
A new arm for DeSales. It's Jared Drake making his third appearance of the season. And he enters a tough situation, already down 1-0. Runners on first and second with one out. As he faces the Tigers catcher Nick Lazara. Throws off the backside, runner back safely.
And a good time to run a play and try and pick someone off at second base, fresh into the ball game before Jared Drake could even make a delivery home. But nice job of getting back to the bag very easily right there, Pierce Matthews.
Squares up to bunt, pulls it back for a strike, but both runners advance, and now two are in scoring position.
Yeah, I have to wonder if he was really committing right there. 3-hole hitter, we've already talked about extensively on the broadcast, very dangerous with the bat in his hands. Didn't pull it back, which is what you would anticipate. That one finding the strike zone one way or another.
Swing and a miss, strike two. And a big pitch from Drake. Now in a 2-strike count with runners on second and third. McDonald on second, Matthews waits on third, hoping to score. Grounded up the middle. They'll throw home, and that'll hold the runner at third base, but it's 2-0 Tigers as Pierce Matthews comes in on the Nick Lazara RBI single.
And the bad breaks kind of just continue for these DeSales Bulldogs. We talked about the theme in their Monday night affair against Southwestern. Some not very hard hit balls, just finding holes, not necessarily sneaking through the infield, but just put in such dangerous spots. It takes so long for these defensive players to get there. You can leg it out. That's exactly what Lazera does.
As Christian Holloway comes up to the plate, Holloway 0 for 1 as he flew out to the catcher Savorsky. Fouls that back. You know, just really unfortunate for Stranix playing in short for DeSales. 2 plays, he got to the ball, just not able to make the throw in time because he had to move so far to get it. Tries to throw home and ends up holding McDonald at third base. Like you said, just those unfortunate breaks costing DeSales. Line to short. They'll go to second for 1. But the run scores from third, and it's 3-0.
Stranix continues to have his number called out there at shortstop. A scorcher off the bat of Christian Holloway that he picks very, very nicely. There's an opportunity for 2, but he double clutches out there in the hole. Not entirely sure what the reasoning was as Rorik was ranging over. They perhaps would have had an opportunity, but certainly going to take outs where you can get them at the moment, especially when they've been faced with a little bit of misfortune. Now just 1 more needed to get back to the offensive side of things.
So the run scores from third. It's 3-0. As Holloway's safe at first base, Brandon Nelson now hitting for the Tigers. They'll check on Holloway back safely. You know, we couldn't really see it from where we are. We're not actually at the field. We're in Calgard Gym in the Bell Center, but we didn't quite have the camera angle to see how far down the line Holloway actually was. Because I was thinking the same thing you were. I was wondering if he had a play at first for 2. Ends up holding it, and it's 3-0 Tigers.
Yeah, clearly had enough time to get Lazera on the base paths, even with the double clutch. But Holloway, not someone that moves particularly quickly down the line, right? A corner infielder, not someone that I would say is a threat on the base paths to try and snag a bag.
We'll see if that one comes back to bite you. Ball in the dirt, it gets away. So he does take second base, not in the way you were thinking, but it does happen.
Yeah, and it almost always does. Baseball finding the holes here in San Antonio in the infield of DeSales, and you know, these plays finding a way to find exactly the opposite of what I've stated.
Hit in the air to center, and Andorowski drifts back to make the catch. That ends the inning, but the Tigers tack on 3 runs. They lead this 3-0 as we head to the 4th. Top of the 4th in San Antonio. Tigers able to take a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the 3rd, and now Travis Kerr leads it off for the Bulldogs. And takes ball 1. Kerr 0 for 1 today, struck out looking the last time he was up. We'll try and avoid that in this at-bat, as DeSales needs to get something going offensively already in a hole early. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
And I believe their only base runner here this evening came with a couple of outs already on the board. I don't remember a point in time where they had a leadoff guy on.
Outside called strike. A good frame by Lazara to get that one.
And that leadoff guy going to have a tougher job reaching base now. Inside, it's been at least a couple of innings since that's been called a strike, but it remains consistent. We did at least see it earlier in this one.
Yep, open for business is what we said, and it continues to be that way. As that last pitch called the ball low. 2-2 to Kerr. Swing and a miss, strike 3, the 7th strikeout for Michael Boki as his good day continues.
There have been a lot of strikeouts here in San Antonio over the course of this past week. Started with Jackson Tier, who set a new program record, tied program record with 20 strikeouts against a very, very good Wisconsin Whitewater offense. And that Monday night game, Southwestern, I believe it was Ferguson who came in. He had double digits himself. And now Boki trending in that direction as well.
Boki up to 7 as he faces the 5-hole hitter Zavorsky, the catcher. Outside 2-0.
And Boki patting his chest after that second delivery, recognizing that he's falling off of his path towards the first baseline and pulls off on that pitch, finishes well into that left-hander batter's box.
And he'll go the other way with this one. 3-0 as he throws it over Zavorsky's head.
And just a little back and forth as he's trying to find that release point. Maybe went to a breaking ball right there, and we've talked about it already. Weird conditions here in San Antonio, difficult to get a grip on the baseball, but finally able to do so.
There's strike 1. Zavorsky started heading to first base, though that seemed to be on the plate.
Yeah, more on the plate than some other pitches that we've seen here called strikes.
And there's strike 2.
And I don't blame him, and I'm not surprised that he's unhappy with these calls. The catcher, usually the guy in the batter's box that has the greatest understanding of the zone, and I might like his version of it a little better than the home plate umpires this evening.
Yeah, seconded. As that's grounded up the middle, and he's going to reach first base anyways. A 1-out single for Zavorsky as he's on for the first time today.
And throws his gear back towards his dugout. A quick little fist bump with first base coach. I think maybe a little bit of frustration taken out on the baseball right there. Ultimately, no harm done as he reaches safely. He might have done so, or perhaps should have done so a couple of pitches previously.
That gets away. Lazara throws to second, but not in time. And Zavorsky finds himself in scoring position for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and how quickly things can unravel. Now Zavorsky on second base after Boki was able to come back into the zone a couple of consecutive times. Loses another pitch right there, spiking one ahead of home plate.
Just high, ball 2. So Boki dealing with some adversity on the mound for really the first time all night. And it'll warrant a meeting from pitching coach Dave Smith.
And just talking at the moment, not sure what's going on in that bullpen down the left field line for these Trinity Tigers. Could be buying a little bit of time here, still in the top of the 4th inning. We talked about it. Boki making a second consecutive start. His last 2 appearances have been of that variety, but I think historically he's a guy that you anticipate come out of the bullpen. I think that's what happened in opening weekend of play against Babson College. Kind of a different circumstance here in San Antonio is there's a couple of midweek games, but not a full weekend series. So not a guy that you would anticipate to throw a ton of pitches this evening, as he hasn't in any of his previous appearances this season.
We'll see how long the leash is as he's behind this batter 3-0. There's strike one.
And he goes to that breaking ball to find the release point. And that one staying in his grip. A nice breaking ball just to get him over and get him back in this at-bat.
Outside, ball 4, and DeStasso heads to first. Now 2 runners on for DeSales.
Yeah, and 2 consecutive competitive pitches right there from Bokey, and I think that's all you want to see out of this guy on the mound, and I think that'll probably be good enough to satisfy Coach Smith.
DeStasso walks for the second time. He's on first. Now Zachary Zuchowski up. Zuchowski struck out swinging. As that gets away, both runners advance. We'll see what happens here. The bat swung. Couldn't really tell if he got a piece of it or not. They're staying where they are, so it looks like he missed contact.
Yeah, that breaking ball down and away, and this one skipping off the mask of Lazera. Just an unfortunate break as he was able to induce that swing.
And does so again, 0-2.
Certainly a big spot to be ahead 0-2 if you're Michael Bokey. Just one out here in the top of the 4th and no force out in the infield outside of first base. Strikeout could put it back into play, though.
Goes the same way. That one in the dirt. Still those runners in scoring position for DeSales. Now a 1-2 pitch from Bokey. Outside 2-2.
And Lazera behind home plate right there, asking for that fastball up in the zone, trying to change the eye level just a little bit. Bokey missing down and away, didn't get hurt, but just demonstrating, illustrating that he's not exactly hitting the spots he wants to at the moment.
Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. He gets Zuchowski, and there's 2 down in the inning.
But he is finding his spots with his breaking ball. Exactly where Nick Lazera set up on that one. And he induces the swing and miss. Exactly what you want to see in that scenario. Now with 2 outs, makes the job a little bit easier defensively. Can pitch to contact here and hopefully for Trinity just take it out at first.
Now Ty Atkins up. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Takes ball 1 outside. This is the 4th consecutive game the first year has started for DeSales, finding his way into the regular lineup. Hitting .400 this season. So a serious threat now with runners in scoring position. Swing and a miss, that's strike 2.
And his first time up to the plate, he saw a diet. It was 3 consecutive breaking balls that he struck out on. He was able to lay it off on that first offering here. And Bokey getting that fastball by him.
Swing and a miss. Strike 2. As that other one was strike 1. Now a 1-2 count to Atkins, who will make his way back into the batter's box with another chance to bring these runs across for DeSales. Outside 2-2.
And that last offering, breaking ball that Atkins did go on, I think result more than anything else of Bokey being able to speed him up with that fastball. And 2 consecutive breaking balls makes it a little bit easier to lay off that second one.
In the dirt now 3-2.
3 consecutive offerings makes it even easier to lay off that final one. It was over the plate, and Bokey just spiking that one into the ground. It was a nice spot, but imagine that with 3 consecutive breaking balls thrown and Atkins laying off of him, he might meet the fastball.
There's strike 3. Bokey gets him looking. 9 strikeouts for Michael Bokey as he gets out of the jam. Still 3-0 Trinity in San Antonio. Bottom of the 4th on Tiger Network. Trinity still leading 3-0 over DeSales. As now the second baseman, Colt Harris, leads off the inning. Takes ball 1. Harris 0 for 1 today. Flew out in the first base side. Fouls it back, and it's 1-1.
Harris getting a couple of fastballs up in the zone to start this at bat off. That one perhaps catching a little bit more of the zone. Certainly an opportunity for him to jump on something, just a little bit too late there.
Hit in the air to deep center field, but not deep enough, as Andorowski will make the catch.
Yeah, better timing there from Colt Harris, but unfortunately for him, just gets this one off the end of the bat. As you can see, the flags here in San Antonio have died down just a little bit, so not getting any help from the wind, and that one dies out there in center. No harm done.
It's now the center fielder, Jack Peterson, up with 1 down. Bunts it down the third base line. Peterson's got to hustle, and he does as he reaches safely. A bunt single for Jack Peterson, as the Tigers have 1 aboard with 1 down.
This is a nice butt. Peterson does a nice job of keeping it fair. He squares late, but DeStasso does a nice job over there at third base. He gets to it very, very quickly, and he makes a nice strong throw over to first. Peterson just displaying how much speed he truly has, and he's very quickly a threat over there at first base.
They know it, so they'll investigate. Peterson, 25 for 25 last season. Hasn't been caught stealing since the first time he tried it in his first year. Now Kai Tinker in the batter's box, but he'll have to wait. So you would imagine they're going to be very cautious with Jack Peterson over there, because once he's at first, he does not like to stay there.
Yeah, great opportunity for Kai Tinker, who has put barrel on baseball in the last couple of games. Hit and run situation here. 5th-year senior is a guy that you can rely on to get a job done.
Tinker with that opportunity. In a 1-0 count. Tigers with a 3-0 lead in this game. All 3 runs in the last inning. Squares up to bunt. Runner goes. Throw close, but not in time. as Peterson reaches safely another stolen base on his career.
Yeah, and Zavorsky makes this a closer play than most. He just puts it right on the bag, skips in there a little bit in front of the base. Maybe needs a stronger throw right on the body of Peterson.
Runner goes again, throw to third, not in time. And 2 stolen bases and 2 pitches for Jack Peterson.
And why wait around? Good opportunity. Just go on consecutive pitches. You can see the timing here. It's another close play down there at third. Perhaps if Zavorsky can get this one down at the bag, it looks a little bit closer than it ultimately is.
Tinker still working 2-1 count, make it 2-2. It's not like Zavorsky's a left-handed catcher either. That's a situation where you'd be more likely to steal third. I guess Jack Peterson's just that good at running 90 feet. Hit and through. Peterson will jog home safely. Tinker rounds first into second. Now he's going for third, stumbles, and he's going to have to retreat back. Either way, an RBI double for Kai Tinker, and it's 4-0 Tigers.
And the infield was playing in here in San Antonio as DeSales was trying to cut this run. Makes it a very, very difficult play for DeStasso over there at third. He dove, but wasn't getting to that one as it was hard hit. You see Tinker, not sure if he would have had a real opportunity to get over there to third. Might be better that he took a stumble. I'm certain that the Trinity dugout's going to let him hear it for that one, but I think he'll benefit from it in the long run.
Maybe a blessing in disguise as he's still in scoring position for the 9-hole hitter, Jack Baker. Baker walked the last time he was up. Takes ball 1 inside.
Baker displayed really, really nice patience in that last plate appearance. Now, with a runner in scoring position, has a better opportunity to show us what he can do with the bat in his hands.
Rounded up the middle and through. A base hit for Jack Baker. Tinker comes around to score, and it's 5-0 Tigers.
Again, jumps ahead in the at-bat here, showing some patience. Very quickly gets a breaking ball that's pretty well located, catches the plate. It's in the zone, but at least in the bottom half. Baker still able to get a lot of barrel on this one. And with the turf here in San Antonio, it takes a nice friendly hitter's bounce off the mound and skips through rather quickly.
Just some unfortunate plays defensively for DeSales. He really went through it when they were here on Monday. 5 errors in that game against Southwestern. They end up falling 12-4. As this recent string of hits will warrant a meeting. And a change. That'll be the day for Drake. Bottom of the 4th, 1 down, still a runner on. 5-0 Trinity as we take a break. New pitcher on the mound for DeSales. It's Anthony Schiebel, the sophomore from New York State, as he makes his 5th appearance, his 3rd in the last week, as he faces the leadoff man, Pierce Matthews. Matthews working with 1 out, and Jack Baker on first base after his RBI single to make it 5-0 Tigers. Schiebel threw in yesterday's loss at Shriner, 0.1 innings pitched. So I guess fresh enough to get some action in this one. Low ball 2.
Yeah, and a couple of misses down in the zone to Matthews to start this at bat off.
Tigers trying to add on. Struggled to score 2 days ago. Not the case right now. There's a strike on the outside edge.
And a nice pitch from Schiebel right there. And honestly, if you're DeSales, exactly what you have to do in this one. Continue to throw strikes, hope that the ball is going to bounce a little friendlier in your favor. It just hasn't happened to do so far.
Hit in the air. Savorsky going back and can't make the play in foul territory.
And it's been a pretty tough job back there. I feel like a couple of nights ago when DeSales was here, there was at least one pop-up behind home plate that wasn't secured. Savorsky has come away with one of them tonight. We saw another one that hit the ground. An opportunity to steal an out right there. Obviously no harm done, but you need to take advantage of them when you can.
So they'll check on Baker at first, back safely. Talk about taking advantage of outs, not something DeSales has been able to do recently. Lots of errors in this last week, particularly against Southwestern when they were here on Monday. Already won today. Runner goes, and no contest as Baker is heading to second and Matthews to first with a walk.
I think the ruling there is that he was hit by that pitch. I couldn't tell from the angle here in San Antonio. Harder to see that back arm. That one looked like it was up and in on Matthews, and I thought I briefly saw a home plate umpire motion.
Yeah, I didn't think it was ball 4, but I was just going with it. Either way, second and first for the Tigers, as that's hit deep to center field, and Orosky makes the catch. Baker tagging, and Matthews tagging as well. He's safe to second. A risky base running move by the Tigers, but it pays off. 2 down, 2 in scoring position, already up 5-0.
Yeah, Andorowski doing a nice job of getting that one in very quickly out there in center field. Not sure that even he thought it would have an opportunity to end the inning, but that's exactly the case, as Matthews had to go sliding headfirst in there at second just as the ball was reaching the middle infielders. Nice job from Matthews. He takes away a force out in the middle of the field here with 2 outs.
So face Nicholas Lazara. That's a swing and miss for strike 1. Lazara's hit the ball well today. 1 of 2 lined out to DeStasto at third base, and that was probably a more well-hit ball than the base hit he had. Ball in the dirt, 1-1. Opportunity for Lazara, 2 down. Runners at second and third for the Tigers. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Is now Lazara in a 1-2 hole against Schiebel.
And Schiebel, I think, going to an offering just a pitch ago that had a little bit of arm side run.
Hit into right. That'll score at least 1 run. Another coming in. And it's 7-0 Tigers. 2 runners in scoring position. Nicholas Lazara makes them pay. A 2 RBI single for the catcher.
Really, anything that you can throw that moves away from Nick Lazera is what you want to run with. You don't want anything that's coming in towards the middle of the plate, and that's exactly what happens right there. Schiebel just delivering one dead center to a very, very dangerous hitter, especially when you have two guys in scoring position. Don't want to mess around with Nick Lazera in that 3 spot. Make matters even worse, you had that first base unoccupied.
It's now another dangerous hitter hitting .360 this year. It's Christian Holloway. Holloway has popped out and reached on a fielder's choice. Hits that into right. Holloway safe at first, and Lazera will stay at second. 2 more on for the Tigers.
Holloway doing a nice job of using the entire field right here. Very hard hit baseball, and it gets through the right side. Official playing over there at first, being forced to hold Lazera on, otherwise would have been in decent fielding position, but absolutely no chance. That one got through in a hurry.
Back-to-back base hits for the Tigers. They have runners on first and second, up 7-0, as Brandon Nelson takes strike 1. Nelson 0 for 2 today. Grounded out to second and flown out to center. Working with 2 on and 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. Low 1-1.
I think more than anything, these Trinity hitters this evening have showed a lot of patience in the batter's box, recognizing as these arms have entered the game out of the bullpen, they really need to prove themselves, and for the large part, I'm not sure they have.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. And it's 1-2 to Nelson. You talk about this bullpen, and they're stretched so thin. I mean, Schiebel alone has thrown 2 times before this in the last week, through yesterday. 5 games in 5 days, the Bulldogs trying to cobble something together on the mound. That's high, 2-2.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's going to happen is you're going to lose velocity, but you still have to come at hitters and challenge them early in at-bats. And Schiebel is drawn even here. Now, I believe, going to push this one to a full count. He fell behind early, and it gave Nelson the opportunity to try and tee off on something that he knew had to be over the middle of the plate. And I think we've seen that in a couple of consecutive at-bats here.
There's strike 3. Nelson goes looking. DeSales out of the inning, but not before the damage is done. Another 4 runs put on the board by Trinity as we head to the top of the 5th. Top of the fifth, Michael Boki back on the mound for the Tigers. What a day it's been for him. 9 strikeouts in his second start of the season as he faces the 9-hole hitter Stranix, who drops down a bunt. Boki plays it well, out number 1.
And a couple of times this evening that the Bulldogs have tried to lay down a bunt to start an inning off. And Boki has already seen it once and did a nice job of fielding cleanly, taking his time. Shows the same patience right here. That one really not as good as a bunt. It's the one we saw the first time around. Boki coming off the mound just a couple of steps, got to it rather quickly, and got it on over to first without any issue at all.
Now faces the leadoff hitter, JT Andorowski. Grounds that foul to make it 1-1. So what a season it's been for Andorowski. This is his 11th game started, hitting over 400 this season. Such a reliable bat and outfielder in center field. Now works on a 2-1 count. Hits that to center. Peterson coming in, and he makes the catch. 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, very nice piece from Andorowski right there. What a good job by Peterson in straightaway center, playing a little bit deep, it looked like right there, and did a nice job of hanging back, watching it in the air, recognizing it in front of him. Didn't want to needlessly drop step. Didn't want to see it go over his head. Played that one perfectly and ran through the baseball, catching it rather easily for out number 2.
As Boki throws ball 1 to John Rorick. Rorick playing second today. He's 0 for 2. Has reached on an error as he takes strike 1. DeSales down 7-0, but the positive side for them is the last inning they were able to get to Michael Boki a little bit, who's now in his 3rd time through the order. Not the case this inning, but still a chance to make something happen.
Talked about it in the last half. Boki, a guy typically used out of the pen for this pitching staff. That pitch count is running up there a little bit at the moment. He's north of 70 pitches now. So imagine this might be the end of his day.
Trying to end it in a good way. 2-2 count. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That's 10 for Boki. Lazara will have to throw to first. Does so with no problem. We head to the bottom of the 5th on Tiger Network. High fives for Michael Boki as we take a break.
Bottom of the 5th inning, for the Tigers.
bottom of the 5th. A new arm on the mound for the DeSales Bulldogs. It's Parati. As he fires strike one to Colt Harris. Frank Parati, a junior, has made 3 appearances, all of them starts. Most recently started on Monday against Southwestern here in this ballpark. Hit past the dive and into right field for a base knock. Leadoff man aboard for the Tigers against Parati.
And Parati making another appearance here in South Texas and another appearance on the mound here in San Antonio, starting that game against Southwestern. And he was good in the first few innings out of the gate. And then things started to unravel a little bit. Some balls that we mentioned took some unfortunate bounces for the Bulldogs, and Pirates were able to finally scratch some runs. Parati, probably a welcome sight into this game, someone who threw a lot of strikes there. Unfortunately for him, just didn't have the ball bounce his way.
It's now Jack Peterson up for the Tigers, hitting 7th today. Take strike 2. Peterson 1 for 2, had a bunt single the last time he was up. Started a streak of 4 consecutive Tigers to reach. Was part of that big inning to make it 7-0. Now works in an 0-2 count with a runner on second, or on first, I should say. And they'll check on him. And back in time.
Yeah, but a closer play over there at first than I would probably imagine. Harris has decent speed on the base paths, but again, not a Tiger that I think we would anticipate moves.
Hit on the ground, not through, and the throw in time to get Peterson. A good play at second by Rorick to get 1.
A very good play from Rorick over there at second, who makes this one look routine, but you have to keep in mind Jack Peterson running down that first baseline has already showed us his speed. Reached via bunt his last time up, stole second, stole third on the very next pitch before ultimately scoring. You can see him hustling. He's got some great length, long stride out there, very, very narrowly missed beating that one out. Good job from the Bulldogs, taking advantage of a ball hit on the ground and finally turning it into an out.
Kai Tinker up for the 3rd time today, now works with a runner on second as Peterson able to advance Harris. As they'll check on Harris once again. We talked about how Parati started the game on Monday against Southwestern. It just goes to show the lack of resources coming into this game that DeSales has. 5 games in 5 days, all against different Texas opponents. Runner started to go, but Tinker fouls that back to make it 0-2.
I mean, realistically, you can only bring so many guys with you when you fly halfway across the country. Coming down to South Texas, a good opportunity to play a lot of baseball, but a good opportunity to test your team in a lot of different ways early in the year.
That nearly gets away. A good job by Savorsky to keep it in front of them. Yeah, they're being tested. A high level of competition here in Texas. Trinity, arguably the best among them. That was something that Coach Nyman talked about. Said you're just not going to get that level of competition anywhere else, and that's something that they can take forward and carry into the rest of the year. But what it does mean is that you're going to be a little depleted once you get to Game 5, and that's the situation they're in right now. As Tinker works a 2-2 count. Runner on second. Outside, 3-2.
And you talk about the teams that DeSales has faced. It started with Texas Lutheran, a couple of games against Southwestern, a game against Shriner, now Trinity. 3 of those 4 teams, SCAC tournament teams a year ago, and all very, very capable offensively, which is something that's unique to this region, right? All of the Region 10 teams, all of the teams here in Texas especially, swing the bat very well. And I think that's one of the benefits that you get of playing inter-region games is obviously playing in the Northeast. You're going to have a different identity against the teams that you face up there. And I don't think it's typically an offensive, power-driven output.
Tinker grounds that, but foul. And that was a big thing that Coach Nyman talked about. Talked about the value of this trip. It just gets him out of the gym. Being a school from Pennsylvania, you have to start the year inside so much. Talked about this with Babson and Whitewater as well. Coming here, just warm weather. Allows them to play outside. They learn how to execute different things. Coach Nyman also saying that it's a great bonding experience being on the road for a week. It's another 3-2 pitch to Tinker. Fouled off himself. He took that pretty well. I would have been hobbling.
Yeah, he's got that brace on that front foot. Certainly helps out a little bit, but it's going to hurt no matter what. He's brushing that off like it's nothing.
Yeah, I would be on the IL. You would not see me for a while. Hit to center. Andorowski makes the catch. Harris retreats back to second, and there's 2 down in the inning.
A nice at-bat right there from Tinker, but ultimately it's Parati getting the better of him. Gets ahead early, forces Tinker to fight pitches off until he sends it to a full count scenario. Got something right on the edge of the plate, and he was able to put in play, but Andorowski has shown us his range all evening long and gets that one rather easily as it hangs up in center field.
It's a 9-hole hitter, Jack Baker, up. He's reached both times tonight. One by way of a walk, the other a single. Works with a runner in scoring position, his teammate Colt Harris. 2 members of the Tigers' middle infield trying to combine to extend the lead. Grounded to second, and a good play by Rorik to end the inning.
Yeah, Rorik again making this one look rather easy. He flashed over there at second base trying to keep Colt Harris honest, but before he could get covered to his spot at second defensively, this one was batted in play. Made it a little more difficult, had to go to the ground to secure it, but he did so cleanly.
A scoreless frame from DeSales. It's still 7-0 Trinity as we take a break on Tiger Network.
Top of the 6th inning, leading off for DeSales. First baseman, 27, Owen Fischel.
Top of the 6th in San Antonio. Michael Boki still out there for the Tigers in his 6th inning of work. Faces the first baseman, Owen Fischel. He throws ball 1.
And those numbers steadily improving for Michael Boki. It's been very, very good this evening as we see another breaking ball that Fischel just has to swing through. Last time he started, I mentioned on the air that we had taken a tax test together earlier in the day and that I hoped he had done better on it. Well, we got grades back on those. And maybe he's using it as fuel. One way or another, it's fired him up, made him angry, or it's fired him up. He did so well. Because he looks really good on the mound right now.
In the dirt, 2-2 to Fischel. Yeah, I would assume he either crushed it or bombed it. And either way, it's working out for him right now. Probably more so if he crushed it, though. I would think
I would
working
agree.
out a little better in that situation. Nearly drops in, but now a full count to the first baseman.
He's been moving along largely because he hasn't issued all that many free passes this evening.
Fouls that off as Fischel stays alive.
He avoids doing so right there. But realistically, he hasn't even gotten to these full count situations all that much.
Hit in the air, but no play for Lazera as it goes beyond the bleachers behind home plate.
Doing a nice job of responding, even now that it has gone full. Has come right at Fischel as a 3-hole hitter. Challenged him in the plate, forced him to fight a couple pitches off.
We do this full count pitch again. That time swing and a miss, strike 3. Bokey strikes out Fischel, his 11th strikeout of the game. And there's one down in the inning.
Changes eye level with that strikeout pitch right there. Went to a couple of offerings up in the zone. Fischel couldn't get the barrel up through the middle of him. He was just underneath him, fouling him off, out of play over the netting. Bokey then starting something right over the heart of the plate. Good break down in the zone.
And Kerr looks like he's going to first base. We'll see what happened on the replay. And it looks like they're going to call catcher's interference. So a base runner with 1 out for DeSales, down 7.
Yeah, and that developing so quickly, but really no protest coming from Nick Lazera. Hard to tell on the replay, but he didn't really fight it.
So catcher's interference sends Kerr to first. Is now Zavorsky up, the catcher. 1 for 2 today, hitting .387 on the year. Bokey drops in strike 1. Zavorsky has struck out and singled today. Did he go? Yes, he did. 1 and 2.
That breaking ball continuing to cause problems for this Bulldog offense. Zavorsky now behind in a hole 1 and 2. Mentioned it earlier. Catcher has great understanding of the strike zone, just struggling to pick up that breaking ball.
Goes around, strike 3, 12 for Bokey, and there's 2 down in the inning.
Bokey recognizing that he can force the issue with that breaking ball right now, just goes back to it again, forcing these hitters in the batter's box to make a change, and for the most part tonight, they haven't been able to do so.
Gotta wonder if he spent some time around Jackson Tier. Maybe rubbed off on him a little bit. That's fouled back. Tier tying the program strikeouts record with 20 in his last start. Bokey at 12, an impressive outing on his own.
Yeah, certainly difficult to hit that 20 strikeout number, but he's giving chase.
That's high and inside. Correction, Bokey actually has 13 strikeouts, so even more than I thought originally.
And in the context of a guy that isn't an everyday starter, I think that adds a little value to it. When you can go out and maybe a back-end bullpen guy and a weeknight start gets you 13 Ks, you're going to be pretty ecstatic about it if you're a head coach.
Outside 2 and 2, Lazera able to hold the runner at first. See on your screen, Bokey above 85 pitches now. We don't have the numbers in front of us, but I would imagine that's getting close to a career high. just outside.
My thinking is that it's probably career highs across the board for Michael Boki. Now, through 5 2/3, approaching 90 pitches. I think there's a lot of career bests being set.
There's strike 3 from Boki. 14 Ks on the board from number 39. Another scoreless frame as we head to the bottom of the 6th. Tigers up 7-0.
Leading off the bottom of the 6th for the Tigers. Number 28, Pierce Matthews.
New pitcher for DeSales, number 39, Zach Rothermel. As he fires ball 1 to the leadoff man, Pierce Matthews. Matthews has reached 3 times in this game. An error, a walk, and a hit by pitch. Very unusual stat line.
But it's certainly gotten the job done for these Trinity Tigers here this evening. A very impressive turnaround from what was a offensive struggle earlier in the week. Talked about it earlier. 3 runs scored, but it was on just 2 hits.
Rothermel, a 1.69 ERA through 4 appearances. As that's grounded through the hole. Past the dive of Stranix. And Matthews is aboard with a hit, so now on base 4 different ways.
Yeah, and gets in with the hit right there as he just narrowly sneaks one through the infield. Very consistent showing here in San Antonio this week. Good job by Pierce Matthews starting this inning off for Trinity after they were blanked in the bottom of the 5th. An opportunity to continue things now for Maddox McDonald.
McDonald swings at that one, does not make contact. McDonald 1 for 3 today. A base hit, a strikeout, flew out to center the last time he was up. Fouls that back, though that flyout very important. Both runners tagging on that. The 2nd and 3rd both ended up scoring. Now finds himself in an 0-2 hole. There's strike 3, and McDonald goes looking on the breaking ball.
Yeah, and it's been a zone stretched all evening long. That one breaking ball that certainly hung up there. McDonald, I think, was taking it pretty comfortably. But in a 7-0 ball game, now later parts of this one in San Antonio, things expanding perhaps a little bit more, and he gets the short end of the stick on that one.
Now the catcher Nicholas Lazera up, 1 down and 1 on for the Tigers. Take strike 1.
And Lazera thought about that one, recognized the spin on it, was very close to turning and trying to pull something out of here. Just recognized it drop out of the zone a little too much for his liking.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. As Lazera quickly falls behind. Outside 1-2.
A nice response right here from Rothermel. And a good job in this at-bat, getting ahead, now operating away from Lazera.
Good eye, as that evens the count at 2-2.
Again, competitive pitch right there, just dropping something out of the zone against a guy that's been willing to swing it and can hurt you when you come in on his hands.
Fouls that off to stay alive. Yeah, I would have swung at that last pitch. That looked like a strike all the way. Dropped out right at the end. Shows you the skill Nick Lazera has understanding the strike zone as a catcher. Works with Matthews on first. Low again.
And even better pitch perhaps right there. That one not as much drop, but competitive enough for Zavorsky to try and frame it. Unfortunately, just didn't get the call behind home plate.
Grounded to second. And 2 down in the inning. Matthews able to take second.
Rorik continuing to show his range out there at second base. Gets there rather easily, and with Nick Lazera running down the line, understands that he has a little bit more time, gets it on over very, very easily, and takes a second out here in the bottom of the 6th.
Now Christian Holloway up 1 for 3 today. Singled the last time he was up. Takes ball 1. Holloway hitting over 380 on the year. In the cleanup spot for the majority of the season. Grounded foul.
And a couple of consecutive breaking balls right there. Holloway recognizing that one in the strike zone, just trying to find his timing, well out ahead of it.
Now 1-1 count. Grounded to short in time, and that ends the inning. A scoreless frame put up by the Bulldogs. It's 6, bottom of the 6th. It's 7-0 Tigers as we head to the 7th. Top of the 7th, a pinch hitter in for DeSales. It's Owen Fry getting his first at-bat of the night as he faces Michael Boki in for his 7th inning of work. And what a day it's been for Michael Boki. 14 strikeouts. Put that in perspective, there are only 18 outs that he's faced so far. So only 4 fewer than the most that he could possibly have at this point in the game.
Yeah, he has been working out there on the mound. Didn't get the benefit of the call on that first offering. Nice breaking ball. But it goes right back to it right there and gets right back in this at-bat.
Owen Fry, the sophomore from Woodbridge, Virginia. This is his 6th appearance of the season. Swing and a miss, strike 2. And that evens the count. Bokey trying for his 15th strikeout of the night. And, I thought he had it for a second. I was mentally ready. Fry able to foul that one off. He'll get another shot at it.
Yeah, and kind of the means by which he fouled it off. The ball got out of the frame rather quickly. It looked like it just disappeared into the glove of Lazera.
Played to short, and Champness makes the catch for out number 1.
Yeah, and this one off the bat looked pretty dangerous here on Tiger Network. Nice trajectory as if it was going to get over the head of Champness. But again, that breaking ball for Bokey just fooling hitters and had Fry well out ahead of it and just lost all that power as that front shoulder opened up and just hit that soft little lofter out to shortstops. No harm done.
And the pinch hitters keep coming for the Bulldogs. Patrick Custers gets into the game. Custers, the junior from Newtown, Pennsylvania. Takes strike 1. Custers normally a starter, making 8 starts so far this season. Not tonight, though, as he fouls that one off to make it 1-2. Also, some defensive substitutions for the Tigers. You already saw Cam Champness replacing Jack Baker at shortstop, and Cal Coney in at second for Colt Harris. As that's over the batter's head to make it 2-2.
Yeah, and just before that pitch, Lazera put his glove down between his legs, just trying to signal, you spike it. I'm going to keep everything in front of me right now.
There's strike 3, strikeout number 15 for Michael Bokey as it's still working into the 7th inning.
And you might ask, what is still working? It's that breaking ball. He lost it just a little bit as it slipped out of his hand in the previous pitch. But again, anytime he has seemingly lost control here in this ball game, it's just taken him a couple of moments to gather himself, and he's figured things out rather quickly.
The 9-hole hitter, Stranix, up for DeSales. He's 1 for 2 today, grounded out the last time he was up. Also has a base hit. Takes ball 2.
Bokey easily up over 100 pitches now. You can see him continuing to shake his arm out.
Strike 1.
He hasn't needed to overwhelm any hitters with power, so still operating very, very effectively.
Thinks about it but doesn't go. Now 3-1. And Luke, you got to think about the value of this with the situation the Tigers are in. They play what is essentially a 3-game series, 2 against UTD, 1 against Centenary, each in the next 3 days. As that rides in and nearly gets him. Would have been ball 4 anyways as he heads to first base.
Yeah, and I think you think about that coming off of a weekend where maybe the arms were worn a little bit thin for this Trinity squad. 4 games against the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, and then that game on Tuesday. You went through a lot of arms from Thursday to that point.
And that'll be the day for Michael Bokey. He leaves with 15 strikeouts, only 1 walk. What a game for the graduate student. As we'll come back, 2 down in the top of the 7th. A new pitcher coming in for the Tigers. New pitcher on the mound for the Tigers. It's the first-year Brandon Morio from Austin, Texas. As he works with a 7-0 lead, a runner on first base, 2 down in the top of the 7th. First pitch outside, ball 1. Morio working to another pinch hitter for DeSales, Bobby Dingle, who fouls that one off to make it 1-1. Dingle only 3 appearances and 2 at-bats, one of them a hit. Hit hard but foul, 1-2.
And Morio coming in out of the pen, missing on his first offering, but coming back nicely to jump ahead. Now just 1 strike away from getting out of the top of the 7th.
Just low, 2-2.
And a really good pitch from Morio right there. Breaking ball that ends up in the dirt. Just a better job by Dingle at the plate, laying off of it.
Hit past the dive of Coney. And another Bulldog finds its way on.
And Coney perhaps playing shaded a little bit towards the middle of the field. And no real need to be in double play depth there, anticipating something to stay in the middle of the infield based on the scouting against Dingle, and he hurts them by finding that gap on the right side.
So now 2 runners aboard for the Bulldogs. The second baseman, John Rorick, up. Takes ball 1. DeSales trying to end a streak against Trinity that goes back all the way to 2012. They have lost 8 games in a row to the Tigers. And into right field. Runner does not come around from third, so that will load the bases and an opportunity for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, a couple of consecutive hitters who have taken advantage of the entire field, using that right side and finding ways to get the ball past Coney out there at second base. That one a little bit harder hit, so ultimately no opportunity for the Bulldogs to bring a run home from second base. Perhaps a little conservative in their base running right there, even with 2 outs here.
Another pinch hitter for DeSales, Shane Onholt up. Pinch hitting for Owen Fischel in a bases loaded situation. Swing and a miss, strike 1. But DeSales' bad run against the Tigers goes all the way back to 2012. Their last win, 5-0 on March the 8th. One day away. Today being March 7th. So almost exactly 12 years. Bulldogs an opportunity to put themselves back in this game. Now 3-1 as Morio in danger of walking the first run in.
And Morio at a bit of a disadvantage coming into this one and facing a couple of consecutive right-handed hitters.
There's strike 2.
Nice job. Lazera frames that one very effectively. I think it was a strike one way or another, but keeping that one away from the righty and exactly what you want to do. Anything on the outside part of the plate, and if you can get a little arm side run with it, that's exactly what you'd want to see, but unable to do so there.
There's ball 4 and the first run on the board for DeSales.
He went back to a little bit of a breaking ball, what might have been a slider that he leaves just underneath the strike zone.
So now Joey Vaccaro, once again another pinch hitter for DeSales, as they keep coming. There's strike 1 for Morio.
Zara again pulling one back down into the strike zone. helping this young pitcher jump ahead in an at-bat.
Now 1-1, a good job by Lazera to stop that one from going between his legs. All of a sudden, an interesting situation in this game with the bases loaded. Could at the very least put some pressure on Trinity to close this thing out. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
That's exactly what I would have wanted to see in that last at-bat. Maybe a fastball, maybe a changeup right there, as it stayed pretty true on that outside portion of the plate. Might have also had some run on it.
Grounded to Morio, picks it up and fields it cleanly to get out of the jam. Bulldogs had the bases loaded. They leave with only 1 run on the board. It's 7-1 Trinity. Bottom of the 7th, a new pitcher in for DeSales. Chris Perillo making his first career appearance from Quakertown, Pennsylvania, first year. And he'll face the first baseman Brandon Nelson to open things up. And nearly gets him, ball 1.
All smiles from Brandon Nelson right there as you hear some oohing and eyeing from the Trinity dugout.
Fouled off, 1-1.
Not really at all deterred from that pitch on the inside portion of the plate. Still hanging pretty close to the front of that batter's box and fights that second offering off.
Swing and a miss. Brings it to a 2-strike count.
And Perillo in his first career appearance facing a dangerous lefty, but not showing any fear, coming right in on the hands with his fastball.
Good pitch, but low. 2-2. DeSales using another pitcher. Nelson stays alive to foul that off. I'm going to count them up here in my notes and see how many we've gone through. This is the 6th arm used in this game. Grounded, and a good diving play at second base, but not picked at first, and Nelson is safe.
Yeah, and I think any time that you go to the ground to make a play, you just automatically anticipate that you have to go quickly with your throw over to first. You can see it. Quite a bit of time remaining for Rorik, who made the impressive, really difficult part of this one, just couldn't finish the job with a online throw over first. Nice work with the leather, just couldn't back it up with his arm.
So Nelson able to reach for the first time today. It brings up Cal Coney, who's pinch hitting for Colt Harris. Substitution at second base in the last inning. Working with a runner on first and nobody out. Takes that pitch outside.
Defensive change for the Bulldogs as McCuney back behind home plate, able to stop that one in its tracks. Good job of keeping that baseball where it was and keeping Trinity Tiger at first base.
Ground to short, could be 2. Throw to second for 1, on to first, not in time. And Coney reaches with a fielder's choice, 1 down in the inning.
And a tough play here in the infield. Stranix out there at shortstop had to field what was ultimately a pretty high bounce. Got on him very quickly and did everything he could to field it cleanly. He did so, but it certainly disrupted the rhythm of that one just a little bit. Nice job of at least getting the lead runner. But Coney moving pretty well on the base paths, beat that one out without any issue.
And now a pinch hitter, the first year Diego Gomez. Pinch hits for Jack Peterson. Still works with a runner on first base. Now 1 down in the inning. He takes ball low. First year on first year action at Tiger Network. Gomez with an extra base hit in each of the last 2 weekends. One against Babson, his first career hit, and then one this past Sunday against the University of Whitewater. That's inside. And they're going to say it got him. So Gomez takes first, and the Tigers have 2 aboard with 1 down.
Yeah, interesting right there. Could not so much see it on that replay. But no appeals made by the Bulldogs out there on the field.
Looked like it may have just caught that elbow brace, as it'll bring up Kai Tinker with the runners on first and second, 1 down in the inning. Tinker, one of the few players who started this game on both sides that remains in it. 1 for 3 today, has a double. He's also flown out to center twice. DeSales in danger of dropping their 6th consecutive game. So they've lost all of them on this Texas road trip, lost the one before coming on the road trip. They started the year 4-1 though. I asked Coach Nyman what was the biggest difference between their 4-1 start and their 5-game losing streak, and he said it was 2 things, as that's in for a strike to Tinker. Said, first of all, just a higher level of competition in Texas. That's why they come and make this trip. And then also, defensively, some improvement needed, as that's fouled off to make it 2-2. He referenced the errors that we saw here on Monday night against Southwestern, 5 in one game. Only one tonight, as DeSales will try and turn things around. As we get to the warmer months of the year, they'll start having home games. That's how it works for most of these northern schools. Tough travel schedule early for them. They have a 3:45 a.m. bus to the airport tomorrow.
Yeah. Can't catch many breaks in any capacity here in San Antonio, but I think what you said, Cole, makes a lot of sense. The improvement that you've seen in the last couple of days, from Monday now here to Thursday night, decreasing those errors from 5 to 1. You just get used to playing on given surfaces. Now they have a little bit more familiarity with the turf here in San Antonio, which might not help them all that much as they continue their year.
As Tinker walks, that'll load the bases.
But in addition to gaining familiarity with the playing surface here in San Antonio, they're just gaining familiarity with being out on the baseball field the first real stretch of this entire year, right? The whole academic season or academic year where, maybe they have a couple of months at the very beginning, September, October, to be outside, but very quickly they move indoors and spend the bulk of their time there, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast.
As Camp Champness up to bat for the Tigers with the bases loaded, ducks out of the way of that to make it 1-1. An important update regarding Cam Champness. As you know, Luke, he had an important golf match this past Sunday. It was Champness and Josh Whitty against Jack Breezy and Luke Pfeiffer. And Champness and Whitty emerged victorious by, can you guess how many?
I have no idea.
1 stroke.
That's how it should be. They got to be competitive.
As the drama in that one was immense, as you can imagine, as Champness goes down looking with strike 3 on the very outside edge, 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, it looked like behind home plate, it's McCuney, who's come into this one, is reaching fully across his body, set up pretty true over the heart of things, but one that certainly does not go the way of the Tigers. Unfortunate break for Champness, who comes into this game and has that first at-bat cut just a little bit short.
It's now Pierce Matthews, the leadoff man, in for the Tigers. That gets away. Runner comes home, and it's 8-1 Trinity.
Yeah, and a tough break for McCuney right there as that one bounces up. Long skip off this turf here in San Antonio, and certainly gets his body on it. I think very likely it took another hard ricochet off of his shin guard, and he did the hard part of getting body on the baseball, just a part of that protective gear that doesn't help him in slowing it down at all.
So that's fouled off. All the runners advance, so now runners at second and third for the Tigers with 2 down, an extra run on the board. It's 8-1 as Coney comes home. Think about last Monday, a ricochet off that same backstop against Southwestern. When DeSales had a runner on third, it came right back to the catcher for the Pirates. It's just those tough bounces that don't go your way sometimes. I think DeSales fans are hoping for a repeat performance from the backstop. Not the case. Now a 3-1 count to Pierce Matthews. Hit in the air to deep left field. Back at the wall. See you later. The 3rd home run of the season for the first year, and the Tigers blow it open.
Yeah, it's Dingle who's come into the game defensively out there in left field. This is the type of baseball that guys don't typically give chase, and I know he was running after it, but even from our booth here on Tiger Network that is not at Trinity Baseball Stadium, I think we both recognize this one was getting out of the yard, Cole.
Very similar to that home run in the Southwestern game, just exploded off the bat over the wall in left field, as Pierce Matthews now ties Jack Peterson for the home run lead on the team, makes it 11-1. And an important bounce back for the Tigers offensively, you would think, being held to 2 hits against UMHB, only 3 runs on the board, now 11 runs on the board today, as we'll have a new pitcher in San Antonio. 11-1, a 3-run blast from the first-year Pierce Matthews. Bottom of the 7th in San Antonio, an 11-run Tiger lead, or an 11-1 Tiger lead, I should say. There's a new arm in for DeSales. It's Ashton of Nazareth, as he faces Maddox McDonald, who's 1 for 4 today, and takes strike 2. McDonald struck out looking the last time he was up, has also singled in this game. Bases cleared due to the Pierce Matthews home run, 2 down in the inning, as McDonald grounds that to Rorik to end the inning, but not before damage was done. Pierce Matthews, his 3rd home run of the season, makes it 11-1 as we head to the 8th on Tiger Network. Top of the 8th on Tiger Network. As Trinity up 11-1 in the Alamo City. Brandon Morio, I should say, back on the mound. Strike 2, great pitch. As Brandon Morio has a twin brother, came here together. That misses ball 2. Name is James Morio, who is also a pitcher, currently out injured. Identical twins. That's fouled off, 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. First strikeout of the inning for Brandon Morio.
And Morio operating pretty quickly here with no traffic on the base paths. Came in to that last half inning and escaped it off a very hard hit ball that he maybe was a little lucky to knock down out there on the mound.
Was able to get out of the jam, keep it 7-1. Tigers offense doing the rest to extend the lead. It's 1 down in the inning. Strike called, 1-1. Anyways, as I was saying, Brandon and James came here together from Austin. And they are identical twins. And I could not tell them apart. So I went up to them and I asked them, what's the best way to tell you apart? And I still don't know which one of them said this, because I still can't tell them apart, as that's ripped into the hole. Champness trying to make the play, but not quite in time, as Warwick reaches. But anyways, one of them looks at me, and I still don't know which one, and they say, good luck.
At least they are keeping honest with you.
Yeah, so I still don't quite know how to tell them apart. The jersey number helps when they're actually playing, but when they're just walking around the bullpen, it can be quite the task. Swing and a miss, strike 1 from Owen Fry, his second time up to the plate.
We've only seen Brandon to this point in the year. Maybe once we've seen James out there on the mound, as this one's going to skip away and Warwick will be able to advance easily down to second, we'll have the opportunity to get some side-by-side action. And you can tell when you are in the bullpen, you see their motions on the mound, who is who.
Maybe that'll help. I don't know. I feel like me just knowing how I operate, I might need a little more.
It could make things worse also.
Honestly, it could. That wouldn't surprise me. As that's fouled off. Bulldogs now working with a runner in scoring position. 1 down in the inning and a 1-2 count to Fry. Grounded foul, and we'll do it again. So then after they say good luck to me, I find out that it didn't help, because I try and guess who's who. And I point to Brandon and I say, James? He was not. It did not work. Swing and a miss, that's strike 3. Second strikeout of the inning for Brandon Morio, and there's 2 away.
And I've heard nothing but spectacular things about each of these young arms, and I think it's probably going to be the case here in San Antonio for a long time that it doesn't matter which of them is on the mound, whether you can distinguish it or not. They're probably going to impress you with their pitching.
As Morio fires high for ball 1 to Patrick Custers. Make it ball 2.
Largely in this half inning, I feel like Brandon Morio's done a very nice job of attacking hitters, and he definitely did so in that last at-bat against Fry. Just falling behind here and has to come back and just throw strikes at this point in the game.
Hit into right, and that should score a run for DeSales. But it will not. Runner stays at third, and this game will remain 11-1 for the time being.
Yeah, interesting, but it has been consistent at least. The Bulldogs earlier in this one had an opportunity with the runner on second and 2 men down already in that inning, electing to keep things very conservative, hold that runner over at third base, just give more individuals the opportunity to come out and swing the bat.
As Dave Smith will come out to make a pitching change. That'll be the day for Brandon Morio. Top of the 8th, 2 down. Runners at the corners as the Tigers insert a new arm. New arm into the game for the Tigers, an 11-1 lead. It's Carter Aldman making his second appearance of his Tiger career, as he faces Jeremy Stranix, the shortstop. One of the few starters to remain in this game on either side. Stranix works with runners at the corners and 2 down in the top of the 8th. Strike called. Good frame by the freshman catcher, Matthias Riding, who checks into this one. Strike 2 down the chute.
And a pitch ago, Aldman maybe getting the benefit of the doubt on a pitch on the outside corner, but 2 fastballs consecutively that he spotted.
Grounded, just foul. I will say this, he has been consistent. You know, what one would argue that it could be considered consistently incorrect. But it has been consistent.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing you want. Sometimes if the calls are so egregious, and some of them have borderlined on that here in San Antonio, it gets hard to live with. But consistency really is key. You have to know what to expect.
I'd say at the very least the standard has been set that outside part of the plate is open and available for a called strike. So that gets into the dirt. Runner comes home, And the second run is across for the Bulldogs.
And unfortunate right there. Just a fastball spiked in the dirt. Not much you can do behind home plate if you're Matthias Riding. Got a little bit of leather on that one, but not nearly enough to slow it down.
Now a full count. And outside, ball 4. So now runners on first and second for DeSales, down 11-2.
Yeah, and everyone slowed to disperse on this one. Aldman thinking he has a strikeout. Stranix wondering the same thing himself. And ultimately, there will be another plate appearance here in the top of the 8th.
Aldman has pitched .1 innings in his Tiger career, trying to do the same again in this outing, unless he plans to pitch the top of the 9th, which is certainly a possibility. Aldman came to Trinity as a position player, a middle infielder. Ended up throwing, I don't know exactly how it developed, actually. I think he was just throwing it for fun. It was an easy 90, apparently, and Dave Smith looked at him and said, let's see more of that. So now here he is on the mound. That's another framed pitch in for a strike.
Yeah, I mean, if you're pumping it in there the way that Aldman currently is, his fastball certainly appears to have some zip on it, then Coach Smith will use you. I remember some instances out on the baseball field where guys would jump on the mound and just throw for fun. A catcher in the program a couple of years ago was doing exactly that. Dave Smith said, let's just get a gun on you, see how you're throwing. And he ended up throwing in the conference championship game later that season. So if you can throw strikes, then I think your name and number will be called.
Aldman does it there for strike 2. Runners on first and second, 2 down for the Bulldogs. Hit hard to left and a fair ball. That's going to rattle in the corner, and both runners should be coming home. Throw home, not in time. Gets away, runner on second heads to third. And it's 11-4 as DeSales able to plate 2.
Yeah, and a nice piece of hitting from Dingle right here, who jumps well ahead in this at-bat. Or, excuse me, falls well behind in this at-bat. Aldman was doing a nice job of using that fastball, the velocity on it. Again, very, very impressive. He just goes to the breaking ball, trying to finish things off, and doesn't spot it where he really ought to. Leaves one hanging up in on the hands as you see a play similar to something we saw a couple nights ago. The DeSales Bulldogs fans should unfortunately be familiar with this backstop in San Antonio. Brick providing a really healthy ricochet.
It's unfriendly depending on who you are. Runner on third, well aware. As you would think that might have been a conversation based on what happened on Monday. Grounded up the middle, and it plates another one, 11-5 as DeSales scores.
And Aldman now in back-to-back at-bats, having his breaking ball hit. Unfortunate break after he had a couple of opportunities in some 2-strike counts to get out of the inning. Used that fastball very, very effectively. Now taking a little bit of velocity off of it has made it a hittable pitch for these Bulldogs.
An RBI single for John Rorick, the second baseman. As that's a ball to Shane Anhalt. So the score is currently 11-5. This is notable because our cameraman, Adam Mann, made the prediction that it would be 11-5. That was his score prediction. So he is An inning and change away from being correct.
Adam has a pulse on these things.
He usually does. He's a baseball connoisseur. That's ball 3. Danger of losing the 3rd consecutive batter. DeSales has already plated a few runs in this inning. Fouled off, 2-2.
Nice job of just finding the release point again right there. At this point, still with a very healthy lead so late in the game. You want to force the issue. At worst, allow that defense to play behind you.
Runner goes, but that's ball 4. As the Bulldogs will put him on 1st and 2nd with 2 down. And that'll warrant a visit from Dave Smith. And it looks like that'll be the day for Carter Aldman. He exits with 2 runners on in an 11-5 game, as we will continue the top of the 8th when we come back. Top of the 8th in San Antonio. In an 11-5 game, Joey Vaccaro set to lead things off for the Bulldogs with runners at 1st and 2nd, and a new arm in for the Tigers. It's Shepard Tyler. And there's strike 1.
And Tyler, with a little bit of a different arm action coming into the game, changes that vantage point for a DeSales squad that's found a little bit of rhythm now with 8 hits on the evening.
Fouled off, got in on his hands.
A lot of that damage coming here in the later half of this ball game. All 5 runs scored in the last 2 frames for the Bulldogs.
Tyler ahead 0-2. He'll try and finish the inning. And does so there. Strike 3 called. All it takes is one batter as we head to the bottom of the 8th in an 11-5 game.
Switching 26, number 43, Owen Gang.
And a new pitcher for DeSales. Owen Gang enters this matchup, a first year from Sinking Spring, Pennsylvania, making his second career appearance. Gang threw an inning in his first appearance, did not allow a run, still the ERA of 0, as he pitches to Matthias Riding up for his first at-bat of the game.
And that last offering, an easier one to lay off of, Riding, another catcher. And coming into this one, all night long, it seemed like these catchers have displayed a very, very stout understanding of what should be the strike zone, and it continues right there as he takes this walk to start us off in the bottom of the 8th.
Ball 4 sends Matthias Riding to first base as the leadoff man reaches for the Tigers. And Coach Nyman said they were going to try and cobble together something for this 5th game in 5 days. That's exactly what they're doing, as the majority of the DeSales pitching staff has thrown today. As that's ball 1 to Christian Holloway.
Yeah, now 8 guys on the evening.
Swing and a miss, and it's 1-1 to Holloway. They only have 5 guys left in their pen that have not thrown. You would assume they're not going to need that many to close out this final inning and change, as Holloway sends that to deep left field, back towards the wall and caught at the warning track. High launch angle, but not enough to leave the park, and there's one down.
Yeah, Christian Holloway got a lot of that baseball. Unfortunately, he got a lot of it in the wrong direction. Sent this one high out to left field, but ultimately not deep enough to jump the yard.
As another pinch hitter in for the Tigers, it's Brett Jones, native of Boulder, Colorado. Works with a runner on first and 1 down in the bottom of the 8th. You know, it's a weird situation, but I would assume our cameraman, Adam, who predicted this to be an 11-5 score, probably not rooting for the Tigers to score in this inning.
Yeah, I would imagine he was willing that one to stay in the ballpark.
I was going to say he was probably pretty nervous. That's outside to make it 3-1. Gang in danger of walking his second batter in 3 tries. Hit high. And the catch made for out number 2. And apologies, folks. We lost signal on our TV screen in the room that we broadcast for, meaning we could not see what was happening while it was off. We're back now. Everything seems to be good to go, as it looks like DeSales is going to go with a new pitcher, and we'll take a break on Tiger Network in the bottom of the 8th. So the 9th arm of the night enters the game for DeSales. It's Kyle Hart as he faces Cal Coney with a runner on first and 2 down in the bottom of the 8th and takes strike 1. And now strike 2 to Coney. Kyle Hart's made 2 appearances. He's thrown 2 innings. 2 earned runs in those 2 innings. Coney checks his swing and did not go around 1 and 2.
Yeah, Hart, nice sequencing right there. Got the hands to at least start.
Coney drives that to left, and it'll find its way to the wall. Throw coming in, and the runner will be stopped at third base to keep Adams' score prediction intact.
Yeah, pretty wild throw that's going to send the third base coach out of the picture just a little bit, trying to avoid getting hit by that one. Understanding that with 2 outs, the runner was going to be moving quickly, and out there in left field, Dingle was just trying to get it back in to avoid another one plating for the Tigers.
So Coney's on board with a double. Riding stops at third, and 2 in scoring position. There's another pinch hitter in for the Tigers. This is Caleb Woodward, who made a start on Tuesday against Mary Hardin Baylor. And takes ball 1 inside to even the count at 1 apiece. Woodward still looking for his first career hit. Grounds that to second. Throw to first in time as that ends the inning. Top of the 9th, DeSales down to their final 3 outs in an 11-5 ball game. Top of the ninth on Tiger Network as Shepard Tyler remains on the mound for Trinity to try and close this thing out. DeSales scoring 4 runs in their last half inning to make things a little more interesting. But the Tigers will try and shut the door as that first pitch misses for ball 1.
Still with this 6-run lead here, just 3 outs to get. If you're Tyler out there on the mound, pitching to contact remains the emphasis.
Yeah, as Colin McCunney in the game for DeSales. Try and keep this thing going. That's ball 2 outside. I want to take this moment to thank everybody who took their Thursday night to help make this broadcast possible. Adam Mann on the camera, whose score prediction remains intact for now. As that's hit to deep left field, back at the wall. And that'll be a lead-off double for the Bulldogs, or will it? Throw in time, and they get him at second. The strike from Pierce Matthews. And there's 1 down in the 9th.
Yeah, just a perfect throw. You almost put the announcer's jinx on right here, Cole. That one looks like it was under that first half of the wall out in left field. Maybe wouldn't have gotten over if the cutout wasn't there. But perfectly played by Matthews off the strike. Put that one back in there. Off the bounce, made it a very close play. Really bang, bang. But in the top of the 9th in the 6-run ball game, Tigers maybe catching a break.
So the throw in time from Matthews, a strike from the bounce off the left field wall, and there's 1 down in the 9th. Gemba and Reed Rosales working in the control room. And then obviously you, Luke Terry, working the games with me here in our little room. And Shepard Tyler works a 2-1 count. There's strike 2.
I mean, this all applies to you as well, Cole. Done all the prep to get ready for this week. I know you have more to do. I know you have school on top of everything else.
Yes, school is happening. That is something that is going on.
That is another aspect of
close to not happening. We're almost there. As Tyler works a full count. Low ball 4. As another base runner reaches for the Bulldogs.
And Tyler just narrowly missing underneath the strike zone with that one. A competitive pitch, but a good job from Warwick laying off of it.
So this game will not die as another Bulldog reaches. Is now Brazino up for DeSales, working with a runner on first and 1 down. There's strike 1. You know, I feel like this is an appropriate thing to bring up in the 9th inning of an 11-5 ball game, that I myself have 3 Bulldogs at home.
I would agree. Fun fact for all the viewers out there. I think that's, what you need over the course of a season. There's going to be some long innings out there. We ought to get to know each other in the process.
I think so, yeah. So I don't know if they can root for anybody. I don't know if they have that mental capacity. But I wonder who they would be rooting for.
I'm sure they would be torn. Maybe not so much.
I don't know. I like to think they like me enough to root for the Tigers, but we'll see. Now 1-1 pitch from Tyler. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Nice pitch right there. Talked about it last time Tyler was on the mound. With this arm angle, you're really not going to get someone that overwhelms with velocity. Nice movement on that pitch. Takes velocity even more off the table. Had the batter well out in front. Tries to go right back to it with that second consecutive breaking ball. Good job laying off at the plate and works it to 2-2.
2-2 pitch with 1 down in the inning. Fouled off, and this at-bat will continue. Good job by DeSales to stay alive. Collectively, they've been able to work back from 2-strike counts pretty consistently in this game. 4-run inning last time as they're trying to end this road trip on a good note. Thinks about it, but doesn't go. And another full count.
Yeah, and a hard thing to do, stepping into a ball game this late, still down 6 runs, not being trigger happy, but it's been very competitive at bats for the Bulldogs.
There's strike 3. Another strikeout for Shepard Tyler, and there's 2 down in the 9th.
And just as I'm saying, the competitive strikeout, Brusino goes down looking, but it's because Shepard Tyler had him frozen. A very, very nice two-seam fastball with just enough run on it to come back and catch that outside part of the plate.
As they'll check on the runner at first. Back in time safely. As Patrick Custer's back out there. 1 for 2 today. As foul tip, strike 1. Bulldogs down to their last out. Outside edge not given, and it's 1-1.
And had to delay a little bit right there. Wasn't sure if the home plate umpire was going to give it or not.
Low ball 2.
That one a little bit easier to read. Things continue here in the top of the 9th. Custer's also remaining very patient in his at-bat.
Now ball 3. So Tyler in danger of walking his second batter of the game. Now a 3-1 count. Way outside ball 4. And 2 Bulldogs are aboard.
And Tyler falling behind right there, unfortunately just overthrowing with that last delivery. Winds up well outside of the zone. Nice job from Writing behind home plate, reaching and just securing that one, keeping runners at first and second, not letting them advance any further than that, and keeping all the force outs in the infield as well, allowing Tyler to just pitch to contact and let that defense play behind him to finish this game off.
There's strike 1 from Shepard Tyler as he faces Stranix. 1 for 2 today, walked the last time he was up, trying to further extend this game for DeSales. Ball 1. Tyler trying to close the door on this game. DeSales down to their final out. Bends back in, strike 2. It's been hard for Shepard Tyler to get ahead in these counts recently, able to do it here. Now he'll try to finish the job. Inside edge, strike 3, and the Tigers win.
You get a little bit of a light show in San Antonio as part of the process. Trinity finally able to finish this one off. Tyler shutting the door with that strikeout after DeSales made things a little bit more interesting here in the last 3 frames.
Tigers win 11-5 off the back of really just 3 big innings, only scoring runs in 3 innings. A 3-run inning, a 4-run inning, and another 4-run inning capped off by Pierce Matthews' 3rd home run of the season. Well, that'll do it for us in San Antonio. Big thank you to everybody who stayed and worked on this broadcast to make it possible. A big thank you to my partner, Luke Terry. And I am Cole Isaacson saying so long from San Antonio. The Tigers win their 9th consecutive game against DeSales.